Welcome to Regina Decor Carmeli.faith, educating you for eternity. I'm your host, Robert Milan. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel, and we wish and ask you to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share if you wish. And to all our subscribers, thank you very much for your support over the last year or so. In the third installment today, we're going to look at the apparitions of August as well as September. And if you haven't actually had a chance to actually look at the previous episodes on Fatima, the movie, in comparison and contrast to Sister Lucia in her own words, which is based on the 4 memoirs of Sister Lucia, I'd highly encourage you and urge you to actually go and have a look at those first 2 episodes, because they build around the framework and they compare and contrast from the angel's appearance, the angel of peace appearance, all the way through to the children's visions and apparitions of Our Lady from May the 13th, June the 13th, as well as July the 13th, which is a very important episode in itself. So today we're going to take a look at the August 13 apparition, and we're going to help understand as to what took place on that particular day. Now, we're going to look at the first memoirs of Sister Lucia, which is found in that same document, Sister Lucia in her own words, and we're going to take a direct quote as to exactly what happened in that particular day, because on the 13th of August and for a short time, the children were actually taken away and imprisoned for a few days whilst they were questioned, and the movie does show that. But we're going to look at exactly what actually happened to Sister Lucia, or Lucia, to the children Francesco, as well as to Jacinta as well on that particular day. We're going to switch over to the actual quotes of Sister Lucia and take it directly from the first memoir. When sometime later we were put in prison, after being separated for a while, we were reunited at one of the other rooms of the prison. Well, they told us they were coming soon to take us away to be fried alive. The prisoners who were presented at this scene sought to console us, but all you have to do, they said, is to tell the administrator the secret. What does it matter whether the lady wants you to or not? Never, was Jacinta's vigorous reply. I'd rather die. It's very indicative of Jacinta's personality, who was very forthright in her comments. And if you read the memoirs of Sister Lucia, you'll notice also that Jacinta herself was almost her pillar of strength to Lucia. And Jacinta, being the youngest, was quite a feisty little girl. Next, we decided to say our rosary. Jacinta took off a medal that she was wearing round her neck and asked the prisoner to hang it up for her on a nail in the wall. Kneeling before this medal, we began to pray. The prisoners prayed with us, that is, if they knew how to pray, but at least they were down on their knees. Once the rosary was over, Jacinta went over to the window and started crying again. So from that scene, and when we compare and contrast that to the movie, well, there are several things there. First of all, there's the threat that they would be boiled alive. And if you have watched the actual movie that was produced in, I think it's 1952, and which was quite a good movie, and not 100% either, but it was quite a more accurate than the current movie Fatima, which was released last year in 2020. You'll notice that in that, based on the scene, that the children were threatened to be boiled in oil, and they were taken separately, and I think they heard each other screaming. However, in the particular scene in the movie itself, the one that was released last year, you do not see them being placed or threatened to be placed in oil. In fact, you see the administrator or the mayor, whoever it might be, was quite a friendly, he gave them food, but that's not exactly what happened. So the children, first of all, the first inaccuracy is that they were threatened to be placed or boiled in oil. That's the first inaccuracy. The second inaccuracy in the movie is that we get that image of all the people outside the prison or outside where the mayor had the children, and they were all praying, which is a great, nice scene to have. But from the first memoir, we know that the children were actually in the prison with real inmates. And then they were all praying the rosary together, as depicted by Sister Lucia in her memoirs. So once again, there's that complete contrast to the movie as to what actually took place. And once again, as I've been saying in the first 2 episodes, and I'll say it again, you got to get the story right. I don't know where they got the information. You need to be consistent. The rosary, the prisoners, and also the fact that all of them knelt down, whether they knew how to pray or not, but they all respected those children. It's a beautiful scene to have. It's a wonderful scene to have the children having such an impact as a witness to the prisoners. But this was left out in the movie Fatima. Now, if you return to the 4th apparition, the 4th apparition, and by the way, it happened on the 16th of August because the 13th of August they weren't able to be there. The apparition Our Lady requested the continuation of the rosary, and that the lady would perform the miracle in October, which she had said already in July. Now, on the 5th apparition of Our Lady, which occurred on the 13th of September in 1917, Sister Lucia describes it as a large crowd that had many wanted to see, to touch and make requests from the children, and that arriving at the apparition site was becoming even more difficult. And you get that sense as well that everybody wants to, if you like, have a encounter with the children, touch the children, and to them they were saints, they were living saints, which is understandable. And she quotes the following. She says, "At last we arrived at the Cova da Iria, and on reaching the Holmoke, we began to say the rosary with the people. Shortly afterwards, we saw the flash of light, and then Our Lady appeared on the Holmoke. We continued to pray the rosary in order to obtain for the end of the war. In October, our Lord will come, as well as Our Lady of the Dolores and Our Lady of Carmel. Saint Joseph will appear with the child Jesus to bless the world," as Our Lady explained to the children. Our Lady continued to say that God is pleased with your sacrifices. He does not want you to sleep with the robe on, but only to wear it during the daytime. And I'll get back to that point as well, because in that apparition on the September the 13th in the movie, we have a bit of a problem there, and I'll get to that very shortly. Sister Lucia requested the cure of many, to which the lady responded, "Yes, I will cure some, but not others. And in October, I will perform a miracle that it all may believe." So if you notice in the movie that the Blessed Mother says to the children, "Do not hurt yourselves anymore." Now, this is quite a contrast to what actually Sister Lucia writes. Sister Lucia says that Our Lady requests that children wear the robe, which was used sort of a self-mortification, during the day, but not at night. So this is a very problematic, because as in the Catholic circles, we're always asked to make reparations, to make sacrifices, and Our Lady did request the children to put on this robe as a part of making a penance for other people, for those who needed that. And so this is sort of alluded to in the movie as taken away from penance, that we shouldn't do these hurting sacrifices. But that's in quite contrast to what Our Lady had requested. And so the movie wants to drive away any type of penance or physical nature as unnecessary. Well, I'm sorry, the Blessed Mother herself in Sister Lucia's memoirs says, and I would rather follow her, it says quite the opposite, that penance, sometimes physical penance, is is necessary for, and sometimes our pains like having a headache or having a flu, rather than whinging and whining, we can always offer that up for someone who might be in living in a life that is not pleasing to God, or for penance or sacrifice. So this is itself was totally inaccurate and a very, very poor depiction in comparison to the first memoir of Sister Lucia. So the 13th of September apparition itself was a very short and brief one, and once again it depicts mainly talking about the continued prayers and that the miracle the miracle will happen on the 13th of October, that St. Joseph would be there, that Our Lady in Mount Carmel will be there, and it'll be a proof for the people that Our Lady did appear to the children during that particular period of time. So thank you for joining us in this particular third episode of the Fatima the movie, in striking contrast and comparison to the memoirs of Sister Lucia. I do welcome your comments. Tell me what you thought of it. Once again, yes, we may like the sentimentality of the movie, and I have no problems with people liking that. But when it comes to the accuracy of the movie compared to the actual memoirs of Sister Lucia, then we have a real chasm of a problem here. The authors or the producers of this movie, or the writers of the movie, presented their own view of it, but then they were inaccurate in what Our Lady said, how Our Lady appeared to the children, as we've learnt over the last 2 episodes, including this one, and some of the messages that were omitted. And it's very, very crucial to be consistent with history. So tell me what you think. I'm happy to look at your comments. I may respond to some of them, but also like and share, and I welcome you to share this video and to subscribe to the channel to help build this channel, because there is more content coming of a Catholic nature for those who want to learn the faith. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time, and God be with you.